Gentlemen, welcome back to Taylors of Tech, live on Twitch. Not reacting to anything today, a little bit different, but thanks for tuning in. 2 days after the most boring September event of all time, and it still feels weird. It still feels bizarre that we had. Let me adjust just for a second. It still feels weird that we had so much hype surrounding this, and I really didn't think they would do it. I mean, you guys remember watching me for a while leading up to the event. I genuinely didn't think they would stretch an event and hype it up that much. They literally got the Twitter like button redesigned just so they could announce a very, very incredibly minor Apple Watch update and a new iPad. Like, the amount of stage time and the amount of hype they gave to such small products that could have so easily been site refreshes. I didn't think they would do it. I really didn't. And they surprised me, honestly. I really did not expect them to make an event that full of fluff and that dragged out, and it shocked me. And I hope Apple does see a little bit of the criticism here and does kind of see a bit of the underwhelming reaction of people, because I think that they kind of got high on their own hype because of how good. I mean, the production value is really, really high, obviously. It's well edited, it's well shot, like everything was done really well, but I think Apple got high on the idea that well, people seem to really, really like quadruple UDC, right? I mean, that was a big success. People were like, "Wow, the production value is A plus. It's so high quality. It's so fancy. It's funny. It's informative." So they're like, "Oh, okay, this is really, really cool. Let's keep doing this." So then they start saying, "All right, we don't want to announce any new iPhones, but we still want to have a September event, even if we have nothing really to talk about, and everything is very, very minor." In that case, we're just going to do what we did for quadruple UDC, except for two product categories. And I think that's when everyone realized, like, okay, we know Apple, you can film things at really, really high quality. We know that you can have good editing and cool drone shots of Apple HQ. That's nice and everything, but I think what a lot of people really liked about quadruple UDC was it was so stuffed full of new information. They were doing so much of what we wanted them to. Like, we finally got picture-in-picture on the iPhone. We finally got widgets. We finally got the announcement of Apple Silicon. We got watchOS 7 updates and new watch faces and that kind of thing. And iPadOS was a bit of a letdown, but there were new AirPods update. Like, I think what people really, really liked about quadruple UDC was it flowed incredibly well. There was very little stale moments. There was very little fluff. There was very little regurgitation of old information, which is what, sadly, a lot of the past event was. And I know there's a lot of people that disagree with me on that and are saying I'm being too harsh, or it's my own dang fault for expecting a September event to be filled with more hardware. In my opinion, if you thought that last Tuesday's event was big, then you must think that the last September event was like the second coming of Christ. Because if you think that the last event was huge, then I don't know. I don't know how you would react to previous events, because, in my opinion, relative to previous September events, this one was incredibly stale and small and minor. And comparative to other events that take place at this time of the year, it was incredibly short, small, and insignificant. Um, and that standard did not come from me believing leaks. That standard did not come from me reading the news. It came from, this is what September events usually are. The same way you expect iOS 14 to be talked about at quadruple UDC. It would be like if they had Worldwide Developers Conference and then it started and they didn't want to talk about iOS. That's what it felt like to me. You've just come to expect that. We've had that for many, many years now, to the point that if it doesn't happen, it feels a bit disappointing. That's how I felt about the September event. We've been having iPhones at September events for 8 years, so to finally not have one, yeah, I'm going to say that's underwhelming. I'm going to say that's a little bit disappointing. And now we got to wait another month, which does mean that we get to go through this all over again. We got the recap videos, we got the rumors, we got the hype stream, the reaction stream, the event recap. So I guess it's all to my benefit. In a selfish way, I can say, well, I get to capitalize off of a whole nother event all over again. But I don't, like, from a YouTuber's perspective, I guess it's a good thing. But from a consumer's perspective, I find it very, very underwhelming. Just because there have new iPhones and past September events doesn't mean there always has to be. Things can change. I'm not saying they can't change. I'm saying if they do change, I will be underwhelmed. It's again, Master Doofus. Let's listen, Master Doofus. If they announced Quadruple UDC was happening in June and we all went into it and they didn't talk about iOS, we would all be disappointed, and we could use your exact same logic. But things can change. It doesn't have to be iOS at Quadruple UDC. They don't have to do that. It's like, well, no, there's no law saying they have to, but you kind of do it routinely for many, many years. People will start to expect it. Rimo87 subbed with Twitch Prime says 6 month streak and counting. Love your stuff, Drew. I watch every video and live stream. Thank you, Rimo. Appreciate it. Tradition inferred that expectation was supposed to be high for new products. Apple subverted it with only showing 2 products with minor updates. Your feelings are completely valid. Thank you, Mike. Model Y Mike knows me personally, so he's a little biased. I just hope Apple doesn't see this as okay to do regularly, because if they get into the high of these kinds of tiny updates can be done with a giant event, then they're going to start doing more events every year. And I'm not in favor of more boring events. I'm not in favor of having 4 or 5 Apple events a year, because that's what Gurman was talking about, and it seems like that's what he's confirming here, is that he got this event correct. He got the announcement date correct for the most part. He didn't know when the event would be, but he knew when we would know the event date. So Gurman seems to know what he's talking about, and he's saying we're getting an iPhone event next month and then a Mac event in November. In my opinion, it would be far more interesting if they just did site refreshes for all the stuff they announced on Tuesday, and then in October do a giant event covering iPhones, AirPods Studio, AirTags, and the new Macs. In my opinion, events should be special, and they should be packed full of information, not stretching out as much fluff as we can. Like literally, at the last Tuesday event, they spent 5 minutes talking about the first generation Apple Pencil and how it works with the iPad 8. There's literally 2 changes to the iPad 8. 2. They gave it the A12 chip, which makes it faster, and they're now including a 20-watt USB-C brick with the $300 iPad. You could have easily covered that in a newsroom post. They did call it a special event, though. If you went on YouTube or you looked on Twitter, they did refer to it as a special event several times. Let's see. I'd rather have less events with more exciting stuff than more boring events. I agree. Events won't be as exciting or as special or as... like, going into the October event, it hasn't been announced yet, but I'm fairly confident at this point there's going to be one. Going into the October event, we're all going to have this feeling of, all right, here we go again. Let's hope we actually get some stuff this time. And if they keep doing that, if they do 4 or 5 events a year, that's going to diminish the excitingness of it. When there's only 2 Apple events a year, it's a big deal. It's like, okay, we're getting stuff today. This is going to be huge. If we just have a whole event dedicated to, okay, the Apple Watch has a new processor and the iPad gets a small update here and there, that's going to make events less exciting and more boring. Why they had to talk about the Apple Pencil 1 and USB-C again, we've had them for years. Like Nick was saying on the podcast, Tuesday's event was all 2018 hardware and more colors. That's what it was. It was a dumbed-down iPad Pro that now comes in 5 colors. And here's the Series 4 again, but with more colors. That's what it felt like. Let's see. I think they leaked no iPhones on purpose. I don't know if they would do that on purpose. I feel like it would be better off for them to... You know what they've done in the past? Some people don't remember this, but Apple has announced more than one event at a time. And I felt like that could have really cleared this up if they just felt like for some reason they had to have a September event. They have in the past like announced Quadruple UDC and a March event. So there will be like a few week periods where there's 2 events scheduled in the timeline. If they would have said, okay, there's a September event and then an October event, I think that would help clarify like, okay, we're getting small updates in September and bigger stuff in October. Let's see. They really hyped it up for nothing. September events are always supposed to be special. What do you think about the fingerprint reader and the home button for the iPhone 12? The home button? You mean the side button? I don't think that's going to happen. We would have known about it by now, given iPhone 12 mass production has begun. So if there was Touch ID in the side button, we'd probably be aware of it. But in the future, maybe not iPhone 12, but maybe the 12S, I would be totally in favor of it. Um, I think this could be a good way to have a secondary biometric for those wearing a mask on occasion. And before I used to say, no, just do Face ID for everything. But now I'm kind of like, well, with how often we're wearing masks these days, it wouldn't probably be the worst idea to have a backup biometric. And they don't have to go crazy with it. It doesn't have to be in the display, which would probably be super expensive and require a lot of software tweaking. Whereas in the side button, I think is really cheap to do and probably really simple in manufacturing to do. Um, so yeah, I could get behind it on the side button for more stuff. Now it's making me think because Quo talked about there being a another SE, but not really like the current SE we got. He was talking about some kind of full display iPhone with Touch ID in the side button and not Face ID. And originally, when I read that, I was like, "Yeah, that doesn't make any sense." But now that they've done Touch ID in the side button for the iPad, I'm kind of like, "Well, wait, he might have a point here. This might make more sense than I think." The only reason I doubt that rumor is what do they do with the notch? If there's no Face ID on that iPhone, then this cheaper iPhone would have a smaller notch than the flagship iPhones? Because that doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. Like, would they make the cheaper iPhone with the smaller notch? That doesn't. I don't know. They'll do in-screen Touch ID first, as Gurman has reported last year. No, maybe. We're very, very, very far away from Apple finalizing a design for the 2021 iPhones. That's all very much speculative. Any leaks that are like over a year early are never very accurate, so I wouldn't believe much right now. Touch ID is better on the iPad because if you have Face ID, you have to tilt it to unlock it. No, I disagree personally. Face ID works really, really good on the iPad Pro compared to my iPhone. It works in multiple orientations, and when you open it up from the Magic Keyboard case, it instantly starts looking for you. That's one of the things I love about the simplicity of the Face ID. Like, you literally just open the iPad, it starts looking for you, and unlocks. Like, boom. And it's on Sidecar right now, but is it going to keep jumping to Sidecar every time I open it? I don't have to rest my finger on anything. I just open it and it's unlocked. And then I can swipe up to go home with the trackpad, or I can press the space bar to go home, and it's just, it feels a lot more simple to me than having to rest my finger here each time. Especially when you're going through, like, Apple Pay, it just looks at you. Or logging into a bank or something and you need a password, you have to rest up here versus just looking at it. I'm already looking at it. And it works from pretty far away. I was using my iPad in the living room yesterday, and it was sitting pretty far away from me, and it could still register my face. Is the keyboard case worth it if you already have the Folio one? If you want your iPad to feel more like a laptop, I would say yeah, it's a lot of money, but it is pretty awesome. I do love this accessory a lot. But if it's not like, if you don't feel like you need a laptop in your life, then no. That's really all it does, is it makes your iPad feel like a laptop. You are currently in picture on my iPad Pro. How do you feel? I feel small and contained. Touch ID shouldn't be in the power button on iPad. It does kind of complicate the iPad lineup a bit. I will give it that. Like, budget iPad has Touch ID in the home button. iPad Air has Touch ID in the side button, and then the iPad Pros have Face ID. So we've got three different, like, approaches to biometrics across the iPad lineup. And I think that's too much. I really didn't expect Apple to do that, but they did it. They're kind of surprising me. People like Face ID. Let's see what people in the community think. Drew, like, boom. Have you tried Scribble? I'm using it now, and it's cool. It's interesting, but I don't see the need to do it. In my opinion, Scribble is like, you're bored and you're looking for a reason to use your Apple Pencil. To me, it's not faster than just typing. It's not faster in any means. I guess if you're already using your pencil and you want to start searching something. Oh boy, sorry, we got some lag. Let's see. What should someone go for a first-time budget Apple Watch? SE or Series 3? Obviously, it depends on your financial situation. I would super duper suggest the SE over the Series 3. Um, I'm a huge fan of the SE. I think that's probably the best announcement, despite it not being that flashy or that exciting. It's kind of a basic, boring looking Apple Watch because we've had that design for 2 years. But honestly, from a value standpoint, I think SE is what most people should go for. Um, Series 3, I'm very, very surprised they're still selling. Like, yeah, it's $80 cheaper than the SE, but I remember using the S3 and jumping to the S4, and that felt huge. That felt like a really, really big jump in not just the display quality or the display size or the design, but it also was a big jump in performance. Like the amount of time it would take to install an update on the Series 3 was super annoying. It would take forever for an update to load compared to the Series 4, where it felt like it would boot up just as fast as my iPhone did. And SE is obviously rocking the S5 chip, so that's pretty much on par with the Series 4, which I've been really, really happy with. I don't understand. I don't understand at all who would need a faster chip on a watch. I guess faster, if you can do it, is better. But frankly, like it's been great. I installed WatchOS 7 on my Series 4 last night, the Goldmaster, and it was super smooth. I don't know why they're still selling it because it's not a 64-bit architecture on the Series 3, and it's also the S3 chip, which has been around since 2017. And if they're still selling the Series 3 now, that means they're going to still be selling the Series 3 in 2021. That watch will be 4 years old. And I don't have a lot of faith that it's going to keep getting software updates. If you buy a Series 3, I would not assume you're going to get 2 or 3 years of software support. I honestly wouldn't be shocked if they ended up pushing that back or cutting off the Series 3 within a year or two. Because right now, Series 3 is the oldest watch that supports WatchOS 7. Series 2 was cut off. Let's see. Oh, someone's saying the S3 is 64-bit. I heard otherwise, but either way, performance-wise, I noticed the boot up times of things being much much faster with the Series 4 over the 3. Let's see. It is weird. We are getting the Pixel before the iPhones. That's not normal. I'm not used to that. Let's see. I think Touch ID and Power Button will come to next gen iPhone SE with the iPhone 10R's design because if Apple brings back Touch ID to the flagship iPhones, it'll get easier for someone to break into your iPhone. And I don't think Apple wants that? What do you mean? Will come to next gen. I don't know. How does it make it easier? I'm not sure. Oh, okay. Master Doofus agrees with me. S4 was the first 64-bit processor. S3 was not. Ah, okay. Next Apple Watch video title idea: SE versus S3. I feel like that's an easy one. I don't even know if people would need a video on that. It's pretty obvious to me. I would not recommend anyone buy a Series 3. I'll just throw that out there. If you do buy Series 3, you're like set on it and you're like, nope, nope, can't buy the SE, too expensive or too much, don't care about the display. Don't get it from Apple. All right, you'll be able to find the Series 3 on sale or on some discount elsewhere for probably much cheaper than $200. And also, it's not going to be getting software support for very long. My wife still uses a Series 3, and I see those bezels. They look horrendous. It looks ugly to me. I mean, it works functionally. Sure, it's probably better than any Android smartwatch, but still, yeah. I had a aluminum watch, and after a year, it was full of scratches. Now I have stainless steel one, and it looks like new after 2 years. See, that's what I'm worried about. Someone was asking earlier. Yes, I have ordered a Series 6. I got the product red one because if you've watched me for a while, you've known that I've really, really wanted a red Apple Watch since like 2017, 2016. So I would have bought a red Apple Watch if it was the Series 5 or the Series 4 or the SE. Any watch that came in red, I was like, I'm on it. I want that one. So I'm getting it, and I haven't made up my mind yet, but I'm thinking about selling my Series 4 to cover the price. Someone has offered me a certain amount for my Series 4, and it would cover in total the amount the Series 6 would cost for me. But the one big concern I have with the Series 6 is the glass on the red one is Ion X glass, not the sapphire glass. And I don't know. The main reason I started going with the stainless steel watches was because I kept buying the aluminum ones each year, and the glass kept scratching up and not aging very well. Even after like a month, I would notice scratches and stuff. So that's why I started opting for stainless steel. But I don't want the Series 6 if it just looks the same as my Series 4. I'm only interested in this because someone offered me a very reasonable price for my Series 4. And now I'm just thinking about switching out my watch with something newer just for the sake of it won't cost me anything. I won't lose any money on this. So, I don't know. I guess I could buy a screen protector. I was looking some up last night and looking at how they go on top of the Apple Watch, and I'm not really a fan of that look. No, I don't want to get Apple Care. I've never gotten Apple Care. It's too much. I don't think they'll fix your watch if it just has scratches on it, will they? I don't know how that works. You heard it here, Louise. Tell Drew to get you a new watch. No, we have shared finances, and she would probably want me to sell my Series 4 and get nothing in return and just not have a watch. That's what Louise would be in favor of. Save Louise. She has a Series 3. Well, she doesn't love it. Trust me. She is all on board the how cheap can we get this? How affordable can this be? Once I told her that someone offered me a reasonable price for my Series 4, she was like, "Sell it, sell it." And I was like, "And then can I keep the Series 6?" And she was like, "Can you just take my Series 3?" I'm like, "You won't have a watch then." She's like, "I don't care. I don't want it." No, she got the Series 3 as a gift from a friend. So she didn't buy it. What size did you get on the solo loop band? I didn't get the solo loop. I got the red sport loop. I'm actually not crazy about the solo loop. For one, I charge my watch on a little charging stand that's flat. So with the solo loop, I would have to unhook the entire watch band every time I charged it. And also, it doesn't look like it breathes very well to me. I really like the fact that on my current Apple Watch, I can pull it off like this, and I don't have to slip it off every time. I don't like the idea of slipping. I had a watch like that a long time ago, and I didn't like it. I prefer the clip. I actually prefer the Nike bands. I don't want to buy another watch band because, in my opinion, it's a poor use of money. But I wish I had a black watch band with the holes in it, which I know they have. I just $50 for a fashion thing. I'm just not that kind of person. I'm not going to spend $50 so that the watch looks the way I like. Let's see. For my first Apple Watch, should I get the 6 or just like the SE and trade in for a 7? Basically, what do you see happening with the 7? So there's very, very little we know about the Series 7 or what Apple is planning for the 2021 Apple Watch. It's just a hunch I have that since they've been using this design for 3 generations, the Series 4, 5, and 6 all look the same, that they would introduce a new design with the Series 7. That's just an assumption I'm making. There's no evidence or leaks to suggest that's true. But it's just a guess I'm having that given the Series 5 and 6 were very, very minor updates, maybe Series 7 will be a bigger leap and it'll be micro LED and it'll have an updated design or thinner bezels. That's just an assumption I'm making. Personally, if you're asking what you should get for the first watch, unless you have major, major concerns with your blood oxygen levels or how your heart is, which if you do, you probably should talk to a doctor more so than buy an Apple Watch. Don't convince yourself that you need a Series 6 for health purposes that you're not aware of. If you're aware of those health purposes, like you've been diagnosed and you know exactly what your heart and blood oxygen level issues are and you just want an easier way of measuring that, then sure, there's nothing wrong with getting a Series 6. And also, it's your money. If you want the red one and you have the money for the red one, there's really nothing wrong with that. If you're asking for my personal opinion, the color, the look of the watch looks nice on a web page, looks nice in a YouTube video, but you will get used to it within a week and then you won't even think about it. So in my opinion, makes more sense. Save yourself some money. Go with a nice looking Apple Watch SE. No, it doesn't have always on display, but that's never been an issue for me in the Series 4. It literally turns on so easily. Like it just turned on even though I didn't do this. It's not hard to get the screen to turn on a Series 4. And I've never had an issue with that. It's literally never been a problem where I'm like, come on, watch. Why isn't the screen turning on? It's just, it always lights up. So in my opinion, I think the SE is way more worth the money, unless you have some type of health issues. Sorry for English. Thank you for the 100 bits. Appreciate that. Um, oh yeah, and Bankadal02, thank you for the Twitch Prime 10 minutes ago. We addressed your Touch ID thing. You don't need a watch, just use your phone to check the time. Watches are just a fashion statement. I don't completely agree. I think the Apple Watch has a lot of functionality to it, and I don't flex to anyone. I'm home all day. No one ever sees me outside of YouTube, and I still find the Apple Watch super, super functional for if you get a notification. And phones are a lot larger, and they have more things built into them, and it's easy to get distracted with YouTube or Safari, or they have dedicated keyboards, so you can be typing and texting on there. The watch is like super duper essentials. It's like notification management is what I've always said is the biggest thing, is that it helps you figure out if you need to take your phone out of your pocket or if you need to go get your phone for something, because sometimes we get a text or we get a call or we get an email that really doesn't require us to pull our whole phone out. It's just a little quick notification and you're like, yeah, it's not important. So it helps me. Like I did an experiment back in 2018 when I switched to the Pixel 3, where I stopped wearing my Apple Watch for 30 days after wearing an Apple Watch basically since they first came out in 2015. I think it was 2015, yeah. I got it early, like the first wave, the first day Apple Watches were available, I got one. I basically wore one every day until October of 2018. Didn't wear a watch for 30 days, and you know what? I felt way more attached to my phone, because anytime I got a blink or a notification, I didn't know what it was until I picked up the whole phone. So I felt more attached to it. I kept running to it. So in a way, it sounds ironic and backwards, but having the Apple Watch actually made me feel more disconnected from tech. Because if there was an emergency and if there was something I really, really needed to know about now, I could check really quick and know about it right away without having to go pick up my phone or pull out my phone. Or if it was something meaningless and not important, I can address it right there, just dismiss, or I'll get to that later. So I felt more disconnected from tech by having a watch. And my dad wears one, and he wasn't really on board with them at first. And then I let him try my older watch once I upgraded to the Series 3. I let him use my Series 2, and he really liked it. And now he wears it all the time. So yeah, it's not like an essential purchase. Yes, you can live without an Apple Watch. I'm just saying it's not purely based on fashion. I don't think that's the point. I think there's a lot of logical reasons to have one. Why buy an iPhone? Just communicate with letters. The mail service. Yeah, it's much cheaper. Can't remember if you've said before, but before the Apple Watch, did you wear a watch? iPod Nano doesn't count. Why not? That's totally a watch. And yes, for the record, for a while, freshman year of high school, I did wear the 6th generation iPod Nano with a watch case. So I wore it on my wrist, and I actually would play music off of it. I had headphones coming from my watch to my ears, and I installed music on it. That thing had the 30-pin connector and a headphone jack. It was amazing how small they were able to make that thing, but obviously you had to click a button every time for the display to turn on. There was no raise to wake or anything. You couldn't even tap the display to turn it on. You had to literally click the power button every time to see what time it was. So people looked at me weird and thought I was funny, but I didn't wear that super long. I did wear a watch before that just told time, but I only did that when I heard Apple was working on a watch, and then I was like, okay, I don't normally wear watches, but I want to try to wear one now and see how it feels. And I realized, like, yeah, having a watch is somewhat handy, but I really want it to be a smartwatch. I didn't really have much interest in just wearing a watch for the time. I only started wearing a regular watch because I heard Apple was making one, and I wanted to prepare for it, see what it was like to have something on my wrist and how comfortable it felt. Technically, the Apple Watch was the first device to remove the headphone jack. No, there's probably something before that didn't have it. I don't know, Apple TV or something. High school can be cruel. Love the days after it, though. Yeah, I did not have a good high school experience. High school sucked for me. Future man, yes, that's me. I was future man in high school. I had the Apple Watch before it was cool. Do you think there's someone out there with an Apple Watch but no iPhone? I mean, it's possible. I don't know why they would do that because it's pretty difficult to use an Apple Watch without one. You at least need an iPhone to set it up. So I'm sure they exist, but they're probably not using the Apple Watch regularly. I'd be very surprised if there was someone that had an iPhone, used it to set up an Apple Watch, then sold the iPhone, and then kept wearing the Apple Watch as they used an Android phone or something else. Yeah, kids is kind of a cheat answer because they technically have access to an iPhone. In which case, do they really have a watch, or do they just have access to a watch? Let's see. I wore a watch to prepare for the Apple Watch as well. Thank you, Isaac Bear. I wasn't alone in that way. Other people were like, "Ooh, Apple's making a watch. Let me wear one so I can be ready." I wasn't alone. Yeah, I also agree, Nitzan. It would be weird for Apple to make a round Apple Watch just because they can, just because they're like, I don't know what else to do. Let's just make it round. I'm still getting lag and frames dropped. I'm gonna put this to sleep here, just because it's annoying me. Come on, come on, Comcast. You can make this work. Um, yeah, Twitch is letting me know your frames are dropping. Yeah. But yeah, I would like to keep the Series 6. I mean, I kind of felt weird. I used to buy, I mean, for 4 years, I bought the new Apple Watch pretty much every single time it came out. I got the first one, the Apple Watch Sport. I got the Series 2. I had two of the Series 3s. The first one I bought was aluminum, and then I decided to opt for the stainless steel model a few months in. So I bought two Series 3s, and then Series 4 came out, and I bought that, had it for the year. Series 5 came out, and I felt like the changes were so minuscule, it didn't warrant the upgrade, and always on display was so minor for me that I was just so happy with my Series 4 that I decided to return the Series 5. Um, I would return the Series 6 if no one bought my Series 4. So let the record stay straight there. I'm not losing money on this. It's literally like a swap. I'm basically swapping my Series 4 for a Series 6 at no additional charge. But I love that red look. I'm sorry. It's a personal preference thing. That red design looks awesome, and I can't wait to see it in person. I was watching MKBHD's video this morning, and I was like, "Ooh, it looks so clean. It looks so good." And yes, if they had the red one on the SE, I would get the SE definitely. Yeah, the Series 4 is still great. RK, I would say anyone with a Series 4 does not need to update. Don't feel like anyone. There's really very little reasons to go with the Series 6 if you already have a Series 4 or 5. No, I'm not a big fan of the blue, to be honest. I get this is all personal preference thing. We're just arguing colors at this point. But I saw IRL pictures of the blue Series 6 this morning. I wasn't impressed. It's very muted color, and I'm not a fan of that. I don't like colors that are very desaturated and very light, and you can like barely tell. That's why I wasn't a big fan of midnight green. When I saw midnight green in the Apple store, it looked like it looked gray. I didn't even realize it was green until I got really really close to it and compared it to space gray. It was like I don't want to get a color if you can barely tell it's a different color. Everyone's just gonna think it's. I mean, the the blue one looks almost space gray, like really really close. Whereas red is red. Red stands out like a sore thumb. Like you cannot mistake that. Let's see. 100 bits from Great Dane Maniac said, perhaps a silly question. Sorry if you've answered this. How reliable are your notifications on your Apple Watch? I have a Amaze Fitbit from Xiaomi, and I'll be buying an Apple Watch this fall. I rarely get my notifications, so this is why I ask. Thanks in advance. Well, thanks for the donation. Yeah, they worked great for me. They sync pretty seamlessly with the iPhone. Pretty much any notification I get on my phone, I get here. So I know about pretty much everything that goes on. I'm same on the blue, but for Tesla. With both companies, could be a bit more diverse with their paint colors. I mean, it's a design choice. Clearly, they're trying to appeal to lots of different demographics. And I've seen a lot of people in the chat and in Discord that thinks the new blue option looks awesome. And they have to get that new blue Apple Watch. Like, they think that looks great, and they want the iPhone to look like it. So, obviously, they found a market for it. Just my personal preference, if you're going to go blue, I say go all out. Go all in on that blue. Don't be like, it's barely blue, or it's like under certain lighting with certain color correction, it's blue. Like I say, go all in. The only ones who were happy with the September event with no iPhones are 11 users having the current slash newest model for an extra month. That's a great theory, Dexys. They're like, no, it's not that bad because I'm not getting the iPhone 12, so I'm not that interested in it anyway. No, I do admit though, if you found the September event interesting and eventful, you would have found anything eventful. Like when it comes to Apple events, that's as small as it gets. There's not been in 4 years. There's not been an event that small and that short, which is why I would say very very much that is a minor. That's as boring as they get. And I'm okay with Apple occasionally having a small, minor, boring event, but don't do it in September, Apple. If you want to start doing little mini events or small, minor update events that you want to film and edit and they're 1 hour, that's fine. You can do that, but don't do it in September. Do it in March. Do it in February. Do a January event or something. I don't know. Do a April event of some kind. Like don't do a here's when everyone's expecting the new iPhones, which is their bread and butter. This is Apple's best selling product. This is what most people know Apple for. And that's when you've announced your new hardware every year for 8 years. Don't suddenly choose for that event to be the experimental, minor, tiny refresh event. Yeah. It was a 20-minute event that was stretched to an hour. Yeah, I agree. There was so much fluff, and I'm not a fan of fluff. Um, you liked the event but didn't like the last September event? So you like it when there's less things to talk about, and you don't like it when there's more announcements. What? It was nice to see their park. Yeah, I mean, you can just rewatch the old events if you want to do that. Great Dane donated 100 bits. Looking forward to getting notifications reliably in the future then. Cool. Hope you like it. Hope it works out. I would not buy a round Apple Watch, no. I've made several videos in the past, which I know some people will probably never see, but round Apple Watch is a bad idea. I mean, they could drastically redesign Watch OS to make it more round screen friendly, but generally round screens are not good at displaying information. And if it was just a watch that told time, a round screen is fine, but it's a smartwatch, which means it's designed to display more information, and it would also be a giant mess for developers having to optimize all of their apps. And there's tons of apps that have been built already for the square design of the Apple Watch. So if Apple suddenly started releasing a round one, there would be massive OS rehaul, massive developer transitioning. Um, it would take a whole lot of time, and I don't think it would look good. The text would be cut off very easily when scrolling. You wouldn't be able to read messages as easily, and watch bands would probably have to be designed differently. So I'm not in favor of it. I agree that Apple One is not a good deal for most people, but my family has five, including four with iPhones and the fifth with an iPad. The premium deal is actually pretty good for us, considering the only one we don't use is Arcade, and I could try that out. You guys use News Plus, all of you? That's what I can't figure out. Because originally, when I saw the numbers for Apple One, I was like, that seems horrible, and I don't know why anyone would do that. But then a bunch of people got mad at me for saying that, saying I like Apple One and I want to use Apple One, and I'm like, really? What are you're currently paying for all of that stuff except Arcade? I don't I don't get it. To me, TV Plus is such a small catalog of content that I can't see how it's worth it. And Apple Arcade is nice, but the games on it I wouldn't put a $5 a month price tag on. They're nice, but News Plus is $10 a month, and it's like gifts on articles. I really don't understand how people justify that. But News Plus audio, don't we have like podcasts for that kind of thing? I don't know. I don't get it. I tried all these services and I really don't understand. Um, yeah, TV Plus has been free so far, but would you pay $5 a month so that you can watch like Greyhound? Like, there's a very, very small catalog of shows on there, none of which I would put $5 a month on. Seems like a better deal than supporting Netflix. Yeah, but Netflix, I don't agree with what that particular show, but I'm saying Netflix has a way larger catalog than TV Plus does. They have way more movies and shows. Not saying they're all good and we should all endorse every show that Netflix makes. I'm just saying that there's more content on Netflix. I know it costs more, but I've had access to Netflix and I've had access to TV Plus, and I can confidently tell you I would much rather have Netflix over TV Plus by far. But Apple Arcade has Team Sonic Racing. Oh, of course. That changed my mind. Yeah, Team Sonic Racing, that's worth $50 a year. I think the squared face is kind of iconic, like the notch on the iPhones. For Apple, they value other people knowing you have their product. Um, I would say the design is kind of iconic, but the notch I don't agree with. The notch is necessary for the technology of today. Just like the home button was iconic, but as soon as there was a way to remove it, they got rid of it. And I think Apple probably did the same thing with the notch. If there's a way for them to remove it, they would. Right now, there's just not a financially viable way for them to ditch the notch. But once there is, they'll get rid of it. The thing is, we previously subscribed to magazines like Popular Science, Sports Illustrated, Scientific American, Wall Street Journal, News Plus is a good deal if you use those things. I guess I just never subscribed to magazines like that. Maybe it's a generational discount, but in my opinion, like, y'all are paying way too much for subscriptions. I guess me and my wife have severe, like, subscription fatigue. I think there's way too many out there, and there's way too many companies that are counting on you subscribing and forgetting that you've subscribed. And once they lock you into these bundles like Apple One and these contracts, they try to make it seem like a little amount, but in the grand scheme of things, it's really a lot of money you're paying for something you never really own. You're never going to own outright. It's like the rent versus mortgage thing. I mean, think about it for a second. Hey, my Galaxy Fold shipped. That's cool. When does it get here? I just got the text. Hello, please load. Interesting. Um, I don't know what's worse, paying for news or weather. I would say weather. Oh, it hasn't shipped. It just says label created. Don't text me saying it's shipped if it hasn't shipped. Yeah, I'll probably get here next week. Oh well, stay tuned for the fold. How do you pay for the weather? Dark Sky. Dark Sky has a subscription option where it gives you more data on the weather for like $10 a month or something. I don't know. I have never subscribed to a magazine in my life because I don't see the point in the age of the internet. What does a magazine have that you can't just find online for free? Like a magazine has ads, it has articles, it has pictures of stuff. Well, I'm not keeping the Fold 2. I'm going to return it. Also, I'm a tech reviewer. But yes, you can buy a Fold 2 and you own it. That's it. You own it. It's yours. You can never buy Apple One. It's a monthly cost. It's not a fixed cost. The reason I picked up my phone was I was going to pitch to you guys some numbers. At first glance, Apple One seems like, oh, it's not that much, $30 a month, whatever. So $30 a month is $360 a year, and there's no annual option for Apple One. So it's like, yeah, I'm getting TV Plus, yeah, I'm getting it. Well, you're dropping basically the price of a cheap Apple Watch per year, and they've got you locked in. So now you feel like once you're comfortable with the subscription that offers so many perks, you're used to having Apple Music, you're used to having TV Plus, you're used to having Arcade, News Plus, Fitness Plus. Now you feel like it's impossible to cancel. And of course I'm going to keep paying for all of them because that's how I save money. All of them separately would be more expensive. So now let's say your family stays on that plan for 5 years. You've dropped $2,000 on something that will never be yours. The second you stop paying for it, you lose all of it. It's all gone. Your Apple Music library's gone. TV Plus content is gone. Your arcade games, all the progress you made across those arcade games you like, they're gone. You can't play them again. So the business approach here is basically to stop you from thinking about long-term expense and to make you think more about the monthly expense. They're like, no, the iPhone doesn't cost $1,000. It just costs $1 a day for a few years. And it works. It really works. And Apple's trying to push us a lot as a services company, but just realize what kind of hooks they're digging into you when you start doing that. Because I started realizing how much money I was paying for Apple Music per year. And I was like, dang, all of that money gone, and I don't own any of that music. If I stop paying for Apple Music, I lose that entire library. Yeah, but cable sucks. I don't pay for cable either. I would not compare it to cable because cable is like 480p, 50% commercials, and I've never paid for cable in my life either. So I wouldn't compare it to that. It's like saying the Galaxy Fold 2 isn't that much because the Huawei Mate X is $2,600. It's like, no, both are bad. I can agree that two expenses are too much. You could do a monthly payment of the Xbox Series X and have Game Pass and still come out on top with more content compared to Apple One in a 2 year period. Maybe. I guess it's the type of content you're interested in. Apple is overrated, in my opinion. I think you can get more from other companies, and people are brainwashed by Apple, and people would buy anything Apple. That's why I don't really innovate, and that's your thoughts. And what's my thoughts? I don't think they're overrated. I think there's a reason they're huge, and there's a reason people buy and enjoy their products because they found a way to streamline and simplify technology in ways that other companies haven't been able to. If you look at most tech fields before Apple, they were much more clunky. Their software was not as fluid. The setup and installation process of software was way more complicated before Apple typically would enter it. If you just look at smartphones before the iPhone, or smart watches before the Apple Watch, or wireless headphones before AirPods, Apple has a good way of making things easier to understand, which makes them more approachable and easier for people to get invested in. So if we didn't have companies like Apple, computers would still be more of a niche thing for the tech community, whereas Apple has brought them down for the everyday consumer. You know, like a grandma can buy an iPad and use it, and a grandma can understand how an iPhone works. And without Apple's forward thinking and streamlined opinion on software and making tech easy to approach and easy to understand, I don't think we would have that today. Personally, my family doesn't understand the idea of canceling subscriptions. Exactly. That's the business wise genius model of the subscription is that when you see that charge on your monthly bill or on your bank account, you don't see you don't see it as a lot. You're like, oh, it's only $5, $10, $15. Okay, that's not very much. And then you have to proactively make a decision to give something up when you want to cancel a subscription. You have to proactively be like, okay, what am I going to stop doing? And you think, well, no, I played that arcade game last week. Or no, I watched that one TV Plus show. So yeah, I use it. And they chip at you. They like scrape a little bit more every day. They start out with just $5 a month. Well, just $10, just 15, just 30, and you can share it with your family, so everyone gets to use it. Now, if you cancel it, your family's going to hate you because each one of your family members is using a different part of that service. So if you stop paying us $30 a month, your family's going to get really really upset. So they lock you in basically, and you can't really feel like you can back out. You get accustomed to having those things, and then you feel like you have to pay for them. How could you not pay for them? I only buy my hardware up front. I understand the concept, but I'm just saying with 5 people using the services, it still makes some sense. We don't own anything, but I never wanted to own the news articles. You can't own news articles. I'm just saying you can get the news online for free. It doesn't cost money to read the news with either any number of news applications or websites that cover the news. Like I'm a dedicated tech journalist. That's what I do for a living, and I don't pay for any news. I have a few websites that I go to check for updates on stuff, and they're well written, they're informative, and it's not like those News Plus services you're paying for are granting you access to certain stories or certain bits of information going on in the world that no one else can find. It's just a certain journalist is writing it in a certain way, and they decorated the artwork in a certain way. So I guess that's why I call News Plus $10 a month for gifts, is because it's just text. Other people write text on a screen for free. It doesn't cost anything. Let's see. What you do is only pay for a streaming video service 1 month, and then there's something you want to watch something. Then you Uh, and when there is something you want to watch something, then you quit paying for it. Okay, got it. 8 and 5. Thank you for the Twitch Prime. Do you think the Apple Watch SE and Series 6 are too similar to each other? I think this year's lineup is way too cluttered. Uh, I'm glad the SE exists because I think it's a good deal. But yeah, they are very similar. In honesty, it really just makes me think the Series 6 isn't worth it. Um, most like 90% of people, I would say, if you have a Series 4 or 5, the 6 isn't worth it. And if you don't have a 4 or 5, then get the SE. That's kind of my default now. Well, books are text as well, and you do pay for them. I don't. I don't. I don't pay for books. You can. I just mean you can buy them and keep them, whether it's through Apple Books or from a library. You buy it once and you own it now for life. You own it as long as you want to. Whereas Apple News Plus, the longer you pay for it, the more expensive those articles have costed you. Total cost, $10 a month is $120 a year. You pay for News Plus for 5 years, you've spent hundreds of dollars on the news, and you don't own anything. You don't get to keep it with you. You do have to pay for cellular/Wi-Fi for seeing digital news. Yeah, but I'm paying for that regardless. There's not a way around that. There is a way around paying for News Plus, which is just reading the news for free elsewhere. There's not a free version of the internet you can access and bring to your home or bring to your phone by default. Whereas News Minus, as I call it, you own knowledge. Yeah. No, I don't think the SE and S6 are that different. They're only different in the sense that EKG, blood oxygen monitoring, always on display. All of which I think are really minor and the average consumer doesn't care that much about. I know lots of people with Apple Watches and none of them have had any interest in taking an ECG. They, I have one. A friend of Louise actually has had a Series 4 for about a year now, and I'm confident she's never taken an ECG on that thing in her life. I guarantee you. I live on Starlink internet. Oh man. 21 months from Aiden. Thank you. From someone who, yes, has a SE as a second phone but uses primarily non-Apple products, I can see why people like Apple and I respect them for what they do. Just because Apple products aren't for me doesn't mean they're for a majority of people. Yeah, I would agree on that subject about Apple being overrated. My 70-year-old grandpa runs a shoe business from his 5-year-old Windows PC. Good for him. Well, there's tradition that older generations have been using the same things over and over again, so that's what they're used to. But still, Windows borrowed a lot of stuff from Apple in the old days. You're going to do a Series 5 and Series 6 always on display side-by-side comparison, right? Nope, because I don't have a Series 5 to compare it to. Let's see. Do you think the leaker community on Twitter will become bigger and we will see so much variance and leaks from this year henceforth, which can be so stressful? Maybe. What kind of feels like is happening now is that people start to realize which leakers are correct and which leakers aren't. And then you have a bunch of small leakers that just start blindly agreeing with the big leakers. That's what I feel like is happening a lot right now, is that you have your Bloombergs and your Mark Gurmans and your Quos saying a lot of the same stuff, and then you just have other leakers on Twitter that start saying the same things because they know the really reliable people said it, so they have a good chance of being right. I've seen that happen a lot this year. It's people just agreeing with what Quo has said and people agreeing with what Bloomberg has said. And then when those leakers end up being right, they're like, ha, I got it, I told you. It's like you just read what someone else already said. I get millimeter wave 5G speeds on this Starlink. You guys need to try this. Only downside is that the spacesuit ran me about $250 million. That seems worth it. But Starlink will have a monthly cost there, so I got an S6 for the 10th time. I bought a red Series 6. It hasn't shipped yet. I will get it next week. No, I did not buy an SE because I already have a Series 4. I don't need a Series 4 without the ECG to review. I know what the SE is like. I have one right here. It's pretty much the exact same thing. Why do leakers leak? Do they get money from media? They basically get views and clicks and attention, and people want attention. And then I guess through those clicks they can make money. So indirectly, yeah. What do you think about the AirPods Studio leaks? I don't know. They don't look like headphones I would wear personally. A lot of people were like, "Oh, those look ugly. They look terrible," and I didn't think they looked ugly or terrible. I guess they just looked a little different from what I was expecting. Um, I think they leaked from Fudge, who's been pretty active in our Discord, but has also claimed a bunch of things that didn't end up happening. I remember back in May, Fudge telling us that the Series 6 was going to have a new design, and that didn't happen. So I don't really know if I believe them or not. But they look legit. Not saying Fudge is wrong about everything. If I had to guess based on the pictures of AirPods Studio we've seen, I'd say that's probably them. That looks like them, but not that exciting. I mean, they look like headphones. I don't think they look insanely ugly like people were making them out to be, but I don't think I would buy them and keep them. I might buy them to review, but I don't. They don't look like a must-have or something. I think Apple's going to go completely overkill with AirPods Studio. To be honest, that's how I think they're going to handle it. They're going to be super expensive, $350 or more. And I kept hearing about this feature that has been leaked for like 2 years now, that the headphones would detect left from right. That somehow they would have sensors that would be able to register whether they're left or right ear placements, and you could put them on this way, and then it would auto adjust. And I was like, there's probably so much electronics and complexity that go into that design, and for no reason. Is it really that hard, Apple, for us to just look at the headphones and be like, oh, there's the L, there's the R, put them on? But Apple had to completely overkill, over-engineer them in some way that they're extremely intricate in the sense that it will automatically detect when it's your left ear and when it's your right ear. And I'm like, that probably added like $100 to the price just so that they could save that 2-second moment of looking at the L and the R. And a lot of the time when we're not wearing our headphones, we just put them down here anyway. So it's not like you have to constantly check, is it left or is it right? You can just answer to the side detection. What if my ear is backwards? That's a good point. That's a good question. I already have Sony WH-1000XM3s. Won't even consider the studios. God, I hate that name. But yeah, the Sonys are probably better. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not crazy excited about AirPods Studio. It's interesting. As an Apple sheep, I'm curious to see Apple make an over-ear pair of headphones, but for my own uses, I really don't see the point. They did that on AirPods Pro with the ANC. They could have had foam tips instead of rubber. That would have been a good idea, I think. I see in one of your videos you listen to Men at Work. You have great music taste. Just that song, not the band. Let's see. We also have some leakers who have really dedicated fan base and say plans can change though. Yeah, I know. I hate that. Apparently, these AirPods Studios have been ready to ship since March, but they're still not out yet somehow. I think we need to clarify with leakers what the definition of ready to ship means is. Because originally I think we thought that ready to ship means it's coming soon. But if leakers are going to start saying ready to ship 9 months before they launch, then I think we should have different definition. Ready to ship means they exist internally, but Apple has decided to not mass produce them yet. I don't know. I don't get that. People throw around the ready to ship argument a little too much, I think. I remember leakers saying that back in March the new Apple TV was ready to ship. It's been over 6 months now and it still hasn't come out, so I don't know if I believe that. Let's see. iPhone 17 is ready to ship. They just have to invent it. That's wonderful. I like that. Yeah. It's like the Bixby speaker. It's still ready to ship. They just haven't shipped. That's right. The Bixby speaker still hasn't come out. With the current iPhone 12 leaks, do you think it would be a better to buy a new iPhone 12 or a discounted iPhone 11? I think the 12 will be pretty major design wise and upgrade wise. Like, I think the iPhone 12 is going to be the last big iPhone upgrade for a while. If you think the iPhone 12 is minor, then you're going to get really, really bored for the next few years. So, um, if you don't have an iPhone 11, obviously there's nothing wrong with keeping an 11 for another year. But if you don't have an iPhone 11 and you're this close, just wait for the 12. I think the 12 will be worth it. Just has to be made, offered, and bought by Drew in a year. You think Touch ID and the power button will come to the iPhone? Not this year, but maybe next year I could see it happening. There's no leaks or rumors suggesting that really. But Quo has talked about Apple working on a Touch ID power button iPhone. I don't know if it's coming out soon, but now it seems possible. It seems possible. Before I would say like no way, but now I'm saying it's like yeah they might do that, but not on the iPhone 12. It's too soon. Yeah, by the time they put Touch ID on the iPhone, the pandemic will be gone. Well, I don't know. At this point, it feels like if COVID-19 goes away, we're going to have COVID-20 to deal with. Or there'll be more pandemics in the future. Or where I am, the air quality and the smoke is so bad that you better wear a mask outside anyway. So something tells me our future is going to involve a lot of mask wearing. I love your content and watch every video. Glad I found your Twitch streams too. Hey, FP Dins, thank you for the Twitch Prime. Appreciate it. Glad you like it. Redesign my phone. Oh, the EV video posted. I just remembered. Redesign my phone's home screen to have just one page of widgets. Feels much better. Oh, interesting. I should try that. Do you see iPhones this year having a bundle with AirPods when they go on sale? Probably not. I feel like the iPhone profit margins are very fixed and they haven't really done a lot of those bundle things with new iPhones. So I'm going to guess no. They've been giving away AirPods all summer for the back to school thing. And if they just kept giving them away for the iPhone, that would be nice. I want it to happen. Don't get me wrong. That would be great. But I don't see it happening. You know, initially when I saw they announced that the Apple Watches won't come with a charge brick anymore, I was like, oh, dang, like they're doing it. Like if they're doing it with the watches, they're more than likely doing it with the iPhones. So once I saw that, I was like, man, they're not even offering a discount or a bundle. That was my original suggestion when we were all talking about no charge brick included with the iPhone 12. I was like, in my opinion, yeah, they can care about two things at once. I do think Apple cares about the environment and they want to reduce e-waste. And yes, they also care about profit margins and money. It's okay to care about two things at once. But in my opinion, if Apple wanted to persuade people that this was more about the environment and less about profit margins, they should have at least said, okay, there's no charge brick included, but if you want a charge brick at checkout, we'll give you a discount on one. So right now, if you want to buy a 5-watt USB-A charge brick to go with your Apple Watch, I think it's an extra like $20 or something like that. It's kind of high just for that little brick. In my opinion, if you were at checkout, they'd be like, but if you're buying an Apple Watch Series 6, then you can get a 5-watt brick for an additional $10 or $5. Or with the iPhone, it'd be like, you can get a 20-watt USB-C brick for an additional $10 or $15 instead of $30, what they normally charge. So having a discount or a bundle at checkout, in my opinion, would be them saying, look, it's not about profit, it's just about helping the environment. However, they didn't do that. So now it's just literally, it's gone now, and it's $20 extra if you want it. They didn't change the price at checkout. There's no bundling discount. And because of that, it's like, well, okay, so pretty much if people want to argue that this is just for the sake of saving money, they can make that argument very well. So, again, I will say I think they're doing it for both reasons. This allows them to make more money, and it helps the environment. You can care about both things. What's the driving force? That we could talk about all day. It's hard to know exactly because this decision was likely made by a group of people, not one person. But if you're more pessimistic on Apple, you will say it's just for the money. If you're more optimistic, you'll say it's for the environment. And it's logical to assume, why do we need to keep shipping accessories out with every single device if people already have these accessories at home? Yeah, even if it is just for profit, it's still helping. the environment a little bit. Um, yeah, I'll be honest. Like I did a video about my AirPower knockoff overheating on my vlogging channel a few weeks ago or a month ago now, and I was like, oh shoot, I can't charge my watch with this AirPower clone anymore, so I got to find another charge puck, like the regular typical Apple Watch charge puck. And I checked my Series 4 box, which I still have in storage from 2018, and I opened it. And guess what? The cable was still in there. For, Apple's shipping a charge cable and a brick with every single device, and it's been 2 years, and I bet there's a huge number of people that still have those wires stuck in their box, sitting there doing nothing, not being used. So it's like, just for the sake of efficiency and slimming down on packaging and making the packaging more compact and being able to load more items on a truck, which means less truck trips. They don't have to drive as often, or they don't have to fly as many planes or ship as many boats. If it helps save some emissions or the environment in that way, why not? We all got these cables and accessories at home anyway. It really isn't necessary. I have tens, if not hundreds. Yeah, I did see that. I saw that the Series 6 still comes with a USB-A to Apple Watch charge puck. I hate that. I was really annoyed by that. Though I will say, I saw Marquez unbox the product red Apple Watch, and oh my god, I loved the packaging. That was so awesome. Like, you open it up, and it's all red on the inside, and then when you open up the box, the little pouch that the Apple Watch sits in is a red pouch instead of a gray one, like it was. Yeah, the red felt. Oh, man. I saw that unboxing, and I was like, that looks so cool. I can't wait to unbox it. I'm really excited. Even if I don't end up keeping it, I'm really glad when they pay attention to little details like that in packaging. I think that's dope. Yeah, if you need a new charger, buy a new one. But acting like you need a new charger with every single new purchase you buy, it's a little wasteful. Umbai says, yeah, I just checked. I still have the charger in the brick in plastic. I feel like that's a lot of us. And maybe even if it isn't some of us do need a new charger with a new device, then okay, it sucks to be that guy. You got to spend an extra $20 when dropping $400 to $1,000 on a new product. But the perk is tons of wins for the environment. The loss is a few people have to spend extra money at checkout. I think it's worth it. I think they made the right call. I'm glad they did that. Seeing the size of the box in MQHD's video, though, the size between the S6 and the S5 doesn't look too different. I'll have to compare the two. I think it is thinner based on the box I saw. It's not substantially thinner, but it is a little bit. I'm off camera looking at my Series 4 box right now, and it seems a little thicker than the pictures I saw. Isn't the iPad Air supposed to be lighter? It is. It's lighter than the iPad Pro. Tyrone 6000, thank you for the 101 bits. Appreciate the donations, but I'm out of time. I've got to get going. I've got some more projects to work on. But thank you all for your donations and your support. And I will catch you all in the next one. Thanks, guys. Have a good one. Bye-bye.